No, the blind horror guy was like, I think it was that movie that was by Ben Alvarez who did the remake of Evil Dead.
Oh wait, you're talking about
talking about what topics we've gone over the past 2 years of Job Club, but anybody who had a job interview this year will get a one-on-one job interview before their interview, so that worked out pretty good.
is Billy Bob, and he's a very old boy, but I love him.
I have an honors Bachelor of Arts in History.
This reminds me that I do need to have more work on these characters and these concept art.
In January, I will be going to Sheridan College for the Art Fundamentals program.
I found out that I was on the autism spectrum because I kept feeling a little insecure about why I wasn't doing well in school and why I couldn't find employment and why people didn't really want to be my friend. So I Googled a few things about myself, and most of the search results came up with something about autism.
I've had this disorder since the day I was born, and to me, it's totally normal.
Biggest issues that I face is just being able to effectively socialize with people, and also trying to change people's perceptions of what it means to be a person with ASD. Oftentimes when I explain to employers or to somebody else that I have ASD, the way they interact with me changes. Like it's more, they treat me in a more, like, I would say, condescending and infantilizing manner, like treating me like a child, as it were.
The worst job I ever had actually was like a sign holder for some place. I completely forgot about that one actually. It was boring. I was just like standing there, didn't really have much to do, and it just was not good.
Sometimes I can be overwhelmed by some of the hard situations which I can't resolve.
My biggest obstacle to finding an administrative support role has been, I think, finding an employer that's willing to accommodate things like reasonable scheduling, understanding having a healthy work and personal life balance, as well as being an effective communicator when it comes to performance issues. So after Training University, I spent about a year and a half trying to find work in an administrative support role to complement the work experience that I had gained the last 2 years of university. I enrolled at Sheridan College in their office administration program. There was a period of about, I would say, like 10 months after I graduated from Sheridan, when I was applying for positions, and I mentioned in my cover letters that I was a person with a disability, I would get no callbacks from employers whatsoever. Whereas if I omitted that from my application letter, I would get significantly more phone calls from employers.
I have dropped off over 31 resumes in Burlington. I have had one shift so far at a pizza place, but I was told that I talk way too much to customers, so I do not know if it's going to work out or not. At this point in my job search, I have not disclosed to anyone that I am on the spectrum.
My biggest obstacle towards getting a job is anxiety during interviews. I've been looking for work ever since I got into high school. I feel sad, anxious, and depressed that I can't find any work.
My biggest obstacle is just finding a job in general, because there's so many people are going for the same position. I've been looking for a job. I recently sent out like resumes to these various stores, restaurants, Bar and Grill. I wanted to get a job at the Cineplex of Brand Street, and I barely got any interviews. And the interviews I got, like, the positions were already taken.
A big challenge for looking for new jobs is anxiety. Like, I'm anxious about contacting people. I'm anxious about like not being able to like do things. I'm anxious once I actually get it if I'll be able to keep it, and like the struggles that the actual job will entail, everything like that. The thing with people like me is that for the most part we do know that like our brain telling us that we're stupid and useless and everything, we know that it is irrational, but like we've just thought it for so long, it just like becomes the default brain setting, which is something that I've like recently been thinking about, because again, like for as long as I could remember, I've been thinking like horrible things about myself, and like so that just when I mess up even like a little bit at work, then that is like the default's just like bam, it just goes to like you're stupid and useless, and but I know it's not true, and it's terrible. It definitely, like that whole like mindset is definitely a product of me growing up being horribly bullied by absolutely pretty much every single person in my life. And again, like in childhood trauma just like follows you forever, and it can get better, but it doesn't go away.
When I was in co-op, when I had to deal with some of the hard situations, I went to the bathroom for a short break to get accommodation.
When my employer told me that I talked too much on my first shift, I apologized for it and told her I would work on it. I plan to put a little elastic band around my wrist next shift, hopefully, and if I start talking, snap. I'll just pull it back and snap my wrist so that way it tells me to shush.
Some accommodations that would be great is written down instructions, because if someone's just like talking to me with instructions, it's hard for me to really absorb, because like I'm focusing on so many things and then I'll mess up or maybe like switch around words and stuff. So just having it written down be helpful, like maybe like a checklist, because that usually helps. Extra time to like work on things, and like maybe just like one task at a time, because like multitasking is very difficult.
Just try to be more prepared, shave, on your nice suit, on your best tie.
Communicating any issues with my performance in writing, so I'm better able to understand it.
Thing with noise and like how I'd be able to cope in a noisy environment is I don't really know if I fully could, because just like the way I am and how noise is like a huge problem for me. Like unless I had like noise canceling headphones, I don't know if I could fully take being in like a really noisy environment.
It'd be good if someone came by and checked in while I'm working, like I'm in the middle, and they can either tell me that it's going correctly or something's incorrect. That way, if something is incorrect, I could quickly fix it without having to undo, like, let's say, an hour of work.
The environment I'm currently working in, it's like not too loud at all. It's steady work. There's not any like curveballs thrown at you. There's not like too much to keep track of. Like, it is, like, exhausting, but, like, hey, it's work, and I am liking it.
A trick that I use to try to deal with my anxiety on the job is to play something called the rainbow game, where I follow the colors of the rainbow and like red and orange and yellow, and I look for objects in the room that are that color.
What made me really happy recently was getting accepted into Sheridan College. The Art Fundamentals program will lead me to other courses in Sheridan, and after those courses will hopefully land me in a job doing art, such as sculpting or designing.
I interviewed at Tennessee Woods for Value Village, and I got a job for merchandise sorter, and I'm going to start working there on this September.
One thing that makes me happy is being creative. The designated work I was assigned at Oliver Pets was to take care of the birds and to take care of the stray cats. When I took care of the stray cats, the manager actually said to me that ever since I started volunteering, more cats have been adopted. One thing I'm proud of is finally finding a volunteer position at Ninth Life Cat Rescue.
What makes me happy? Well, quite a bit of things like games, talking with friends, being with animals, listening to music, just like a lot of things. I guess a proud moment recently is getting the job at Plexus. That is something that I'm really glad that I got, that I'm in there, have a job. Like, that is just amazing. Like a job with actual hours and not just 2 hours a week or standing out there in the sun wanting to die. But yeah, I'm just really glad that I got this job.
September, I'll be going to the University of Toronto on Mississauga campus, where I'll be taking visual studies, along with some assortment of courses which include communications technology, art history, cinema studies, and for the oddball, social sciences. I've been drawing, I've been writing. I've been working on this pilot. The thing that makes me happy is moving on with my future.
I have a life ahead of me that, and I have time ahead of me that, in which I can be able to become a better person and hopefully be able to be someone who's able to make a difference in the community through providing administrative support for an educational institution or a nonprofit organization.
I really like learning about filmmaking, game development. Really like behind the scenes of stuff is something I really, really enjoy.
So in terms of hobbies and interests, it's The Great Depression by Pierre Burton. I would say he's perhaps one of my favorite authors when it comes to Canadian history.
I like to write fan fiction about romance and tragedy, angst, family, heart, comfort, and alternate universe.
On this television show pilot, and doing some concept art.
I love nail art and walking my dog and playing with my rabbit.
As someone on the spectrum, I do this a lot better than most people. The thing I like about having autism or being on the spectrum is that I'm more unique than most people.
Speaking of writing, I could focus on my career projects, which is like I'm working on a television show. But like I said, Make yourself